Okay, so this is a cone 5. It was held for 12 minutes and it's pretty full, so it actually was a little bit kind of under fired. But holding it for 12 minutes, it looks like it was fine because the cone looks fine. But it only got to 2158, I think, is what it said. I've turned it off, so I don't know, but that's what it said. So it was a little bit under fired compared to what it normally, because it usually is right close to 2167. But holding it helped a lot. I have a lot of speckled whiteware in here. I'm not going to go through all that. I'll just edit most of that out, but I'll show some of it. But I do have some mugs and things in here. I have right here is this is a new type of porcelain that I've never tried. I believe it's called WC616. It has no name. I think it's one of the old Miller clays that Laguna has. So I have a whole bunch of screen printing stencils that I made from that Easy Screen company. I've had them for years now, so I thought I'd use them finally because I don't do a lot of like white with transparent, and it's Jade Celadon by Amico that's on there. And then this is an iron wash. I think it was the iron wash that I made. So it's just I just put iron oxide, red iron oxide in water and just stir it up and hope for the best because it's hard to get the concentration right. But it came out good. And this porcelain, this 616 porcelain, is really easy to throw. I was surprised at how easy it was to throw. And it has a nice texture to it. It's pretty white, and I believe I have some clear stuff with just clear on it, so we can see how white it is. But the Celadon did come out kind of blotchy. It's really old. It's an old jar, and I mixed it up as well as I could, but it's kind of blotchy. It's fine though. I mean, for a planter, that's totally fine. But it's pretty nice clay. I'm pretty happy with it. I hope that with clear on it, it looks white. Okay, so this clay, before I talk about the mug, this clay is the new clay that it's not new. I'm going back to it because my white clay got discontinued. So this is WC607. I've never heard anybody talk about this clay before. That's the name of it. It has no name. It's just WC607. And it's kind of like a buff white. It could easily be used in place of B mix, just like the other one that I have. But it is a little bit more buff than white, which is why I stopped using it. And it has very tiny specks in it. Not sure if the camera will pick that up. I believe it's molite or something like that that's in it. So it will show up as like tiny black specks. So it's not like manganese that will bleed through the glazes. You won't really see that. But if you do clear, you're definitely going to see tiny specks, which is kind of nice. And you can use this for sgraffito, and it's fine. So I'm having to switch back to this because my raised smooth white, which I do have some of that in here, got discontinued. And this is a Viking rune. It's I always forget what it's called. It begins with a V. It's like Vejesvir. I don't know how to say it, but that's what it is. It's I think it's the calendar or the compass. Sorry, it's the compass, the Viking compass. So I make mugs with that on it. So the glaze is this is Dragon's Blood by Coyote, and it's kind of like a brownish red. It's a nice muted tone actually. And this is Coyote Cobalt Blue, which doesn't run. That's why I was able to go close to the bottom. Um, the Dragon's Blood is thick out of the jar, and I didn't thin it because I had already tested it, and it's you need a pretty thick coat of it in order to get the color. It's kind of has that I don't know, not ox blood, but I mean they're calling it dragon's blood, but it has that same type of texture to it where you can kind of see a lot of like visual texture. The inside is also a coyote glaze, which is just white liner, gloss white liner. The white glaze that I make for this, I make this, you know, in 5-gallon buckets, which I've done for years. It's called Studio White. I add tin to it. What happens is if I use it as a liner, which I did for a long time, the glaze from the outside that overlaps in will float on top of it if I use this inside of a mug. And it creates all these like weird textures, these weird like lines. And it's not, it's totally glazed. It's just the other glaze will always like float on top of it, probably because of the tin. It also has zinc in it. So, anyways, I got a liner glaze just because I didn't feel like having to make one and come up with another glaze. I have so many glazes around. It's just easier sometimes just to buy because I just wanted to make some random mugs and not get too serious about it and see how it goes. But really like that Dragon's Blood by Coyote. And it's really nice over the cobalt blue too. So this is the cone. Also, by the way, I really like how it's breaking on the handle. I had no idea, and it's probably because of this clay, because it didn't do that on my speckled clay. That's the cone, so we got a good cone 5 here. And if anybody doesn't know, I use 608 by Laguna, heavily speckled clay with my white on top of it. So I'm going to clear this out because there's a lot of that speckled white in here. So we'll talk about the next level. All right, I went down a couple layers because there's a lot of the same stuff. Most of anything that matters or is fun to look at is going to be on the bottom. This mug came out really good blue. It's a little bit of something weird going on with the liner part of it, like a little weird spot there. It looks like it's glazed, but I don't think you can really see. There's like a little spot where it looks like it crawled or something. So it's another Viking compass mug. So this blue, this is the white liner by Coyote. Just because I really can't use that other white. Otherwise, this would have had all these like weird lines going. This was dipped though. This is it's kind of if you watch Vaughn Smith's channel, this I get pretty good ideas from him. Things that I probably wouldn't be brave enough to do. I took like several of my blue glazes that had gotten down in the bucket, you know, to the end, that I knew I wasn't going to buy them again, and combined them into one. Most of the glaze, though, is standard ceramic Mediterranean mist. Kind of just, it looks like this anyways. I mean, this is pretty much what Mediterranean mist looks like. It's really beautiful, actually. And this is on that 607 clay that has the speckling. Looks like glaze that kind of got caught up in the texture when it wiped off. But that, you know, it's a beautiful blue. It's probably the best blue glaze I've ever used. I added some more so that it would run down on the handle. But Mediterranean mist, if you are looking for a good dipping blue, it's kind of a little bit like a float, but for years I used this glaze. And I'm still using it, so I'm using it up until it's gone, and maybe I would get it again because it's like the blue that you'd want to use. It's pretty much good on every single clay body I've used. So that's what that is. So what I did is I put the white liner in, then I dipped it once and then dipped it this way so that there's more glaze here, which I like that look with mugs when there's kind of like more glaze right here. And you get kind of, with this particular one, it'll flow. So that's that. And then this was just the slip cast piece that it's a pointless mold. But I had already glazed it and it was so thin that it wasn't dry for the last firing. And then these are my orchid planters that I do. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this and we'll go probably all the way to the bottom. So let's see what we have. Okay, so we're all the way down to the bottom. I have a piece that was in the middle. Let me get that. This was a special order piece. They wanted a fairly wide covered jar. Unfortunately, because I made the lid thin, it ended up warping a little bit in the glaze. Probably because of this handle. It's like it pulled it to kind of warp it a little bit, but I really didn't want to make it so this was so heavy, you know, because otherwise it's like this huge, heavy lid. But that's kind of the price you pay. And it wasn't warping when it dried. It was really nice and flat. And I can kind of see that it's sort of warped. But it's just a big thing. It almost looks like one of those tortilla warmers, but that's not what it's supposed to be for. So anyways, it did kind of warp a little bit. Hopefully it'll still be okay, because I do not want to make that again. Another blue mug. So same idea with the Coyote white gloss liner. It's not that white, and it's kind of a little bit transparent. Another cobalt blue Viking compass. Came out good. Cannot complain about that. All right, so this is, and by the way, the mugs are all the same 607 clay. This is Coyote Fairy Rose with amethyst. I think it's called amethyst. I think it's from the same Glaze line. I think it's the fantasy line. So it's a pink and purple. Not at all my colors, but I'm trying to go outside of my comfort zone here. They work well together. Didn't run at all, and I put on a really thick coat of it. Went a little bit. You can kind of see I went a little bit thinner there, just because you don't want to push your luck too much. But that came out pretty good. It's good weight too. So because I don't make mugs that much, so I'm always like, there's ones that turn out heavy because I just don't trim them enough because I'm so used to making jars that I don't. It's like the first couple mugs end up being no good. And then this one is the same combination of the little planter from the beginning. It is jade celadon with the iron wash in it. I have to say, I liked it before I fired it when I was doing it, and I might have to keep this one because this I love iron oxide decoration. It always looks good under celadons to me, and I very rarely ever do this too. This jade celadon looks beautiful on this clay. This is like my kind of look right here. I don't know about the design itself, but I mean, I like the way the brush strokes look because you can see like a watercolor effect. So I went around the rim, did a little bit here, kind of got a little Simon Leach inspiration going. If only I could paint like that. So that I like a lot, and I would keep this for myself, but maybe we'll see what happens. I like this. I like this size mug because so many people want these massive. I don't know why, but that's what people like. But I'm more this speed because I like a lot of cups of coffee instead of one big cup of coffee. That way I can have 3 of these in a row. That's just how I do it. Love jade celadon though. That is my kind of thing. Oh, so this I have to explain. Okay, hold on a second. I have to get something. Okay, so the idea of this is porcelain. This is that 616 porcelain. It's not real white. It kind of looks almost exactly like frost does. Of course, it shrinks a ton. This shrinks at like 15%. Easy to throw though. The idea here is this is going to be transparent. I did some carving into it, which is pretty light and not real evident, but this is going to be for a candle. So the idea being that you could see through it, which you really can't. It picks up a little bit in person. I don't have a good flashlight. Probably if there were no lights on in here, we'd see this. It's a little bit translucent, but not nearly as much as I had hoped. I think frost is more translucent because it's not super thin. What I found out doing really thin pieces with frost, I probably would need to fire to like cone 4 and hold it for like 10 minutes because it was way too hot in cone 5 for like really thin pieces. I had some sgraffito and stuff on the porcelain, and the underglazes bled and they all just like ran down. The same glaze, by the way, this clear is 2167 clear, Jessica Putnam Phillips clear. I've been using that for years. I think it does make it a little bit off. It shifts the. It's not like the clearest of clear, so it gives you a little bit of a buff effect, the clear itself. So you can see on the bottom that it is a fairly white clay, but it's kind of got more of a gray, warm tone to it. So not real translucent. I wouldn't want to go much thinner than that because it's so hard to glaze them when they're like that. And it overfires because it's thin, so you don't need as much heat work on it. But it's nice enough. And then there's another candle jar here. Let me see. This one I used the stencils or the silk screens. Got a little bit of a weird texture on there because it's the black underglaze. So I did a dragonfly on each side. This is also for a candle. And then I use mostly colors for earth. I believe it's jade. I don't know the numbers. This is Amico green leaf underglaze. I don't remember what the yellow is. That might be Amico. And then these are, first of all, it's black, jet black by Amico through the silk screen. And then I used Colors for Earth color concentrates, which are translucent on the, you can use it on top of something. So it will show enough through it. So I use it on top of the stencil on both sides. Unfortunately, though, the clear, I don't know if you can see it, it kind of didn't go over the black. And that's something that happens a lot in mid-range. It doesn't really seem to happen in low fire. The same exact, the underglaze is the same. So it's like it starts to flux a little bit. And then you get this weird like pitting thing. So let me see if this is translucent. Does not really look like it. No. So not nowhere near as translucent as frost is anyway. So I know you can't really see that on the camera, but it's not that translucent. So the idea being if you have a candle, and I'm gonna like pour a candle in here. So I've done it with frost where when the candle is burning, it has like a nice like amber glow to it. I don't have an example to show you, but that's what I was hoping with this because it's supposed to be a very translucent porcelain. Probably would have to be much thinner than it is, which I wouldn't really want to do that. So the only other thing I have in here are my salt jars. Same old things that I always have at the bottom. They always end up at the bottom and they get a spoon in there. So, and this is Oatmeal by Laguna, which is a really beautiful matte white with speckling. It's a really good glaze. I mean, they have some really good glazes, and that I dip those. I've never used it out of the jar. So that is it for now. Going to be working on doing another terracotta firing. And I had to get a new terracotta clay body, unfortunately, because every time this seems to be like an ongoing thing. Every time I think, okay, this is what I'm going to use, you go back to buy it again, they don't have it. So you can wait. I mean, we're all getting used to this now. So it's almost like you have to have 2 or 3 different backup ideas. So I ended up ordering from Sheffield Pottery, which I'm in Florida and they're in Massachusetts, but their shipping is pretty good. And I was getting the one from New Mexico, which I only tried once. They were out of that. So I'm going to be trying a different one. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a disaster. I still have some of the Laguna one terracotta as well. So that's going to be the next firing, I think, anyways. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. I turned off the lights, by the way. I just wanted to show this. This is, that's frost porcelain with this light in it. So hopefully you can see that. Maybe I'll turn off my ring light. Should I do that? There we go. So you can see that's frost porcelain. And this is a candle jar that I made a long time ago. So you can see how translucent that is. With the other one, sorry, it's dark. Nothing, pretty much nothing. So this is the 616 one. So anyways, too bad it's not really translucent. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you for watching.